I'll destroy you, Skeletor.
Yeah, right, He-Man, you bumbling boob.
This is getting serious.
This is fun and all, but something's not right.
Yeah, man, I wish they could move like real space barbarians.
Yeah, total lack of articulation really bums me out.
Yeah, man, I wish they made new He-Man toys.
Did somebody say new He-Man?
He-Man?
What the? Modern posing? Retro play?
Look at his muscles. They're glistening.
Go on. Play with me, kids.
Holy Eternian toilet pies. He's gorgeous.
Look out, bumbling boob. I'm gonna straight Van Dam you.
They're so articulate, like real space barbarians.
Even the box looks like it's from the 80s, which I totally know because I'm totally from the 80s.
Here's some accessories for you kids to play with as well. And don't worry, there'll be more where that came from. I got a beat. You kids have fun with your highly articulated Masters of the Universe Origins figures. New from Mattel.
Thanks, He-Man.
I have the power!
New from the Masters of the Universe collection. Other action figures each sold separately. From Mattel.
Welcome to the first episode of It Crept From Eternia. Bubbling boob.
Mimi?
Hello, I am Chris Seaver, and of course you were on It Crept From the 80s, but we have decided to do a He-Man centric show on the channel. It Crept From Eternia, and I'm going to have like-minded individuals on these episodes to talk their love of the Masters of the Universe line, franchise, what have you. From beginning to now, all the goodies, all the master strokes within the franchise.
Stroke.
That's right. And joining me once again is Chad Too Rad of Horror Movie Barbecue.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of Eternia.
And and you're doing your own.
Just wrapped it up.
Talk about that. Talk
Okay,
about
so
your
my
site. Your
oh
blog,
my god.
yes.
So horrormoviebarbecue.com is my home base, and I was doing every August I like to do a Motu month, which celebrates He-Man and Masters of the Universe, She-Ra, whatever the case may be. And it's a lot of fun. I do it also on Twitter at Horror Movie Barbecue. I did a lot of stuff there. Video clips. Just little tidbits. I try to find whatever I can that isn't as well known. So there's so much about He-Man, and just how do you dive in? Like how do you just I know what everyone's thinking. How do you just make a month out of it? It is admittedly hard.
Yeah. And you got something special that you're cooking up. You're brewing up.
I do. Yes.
And we don't have to.
No.
But it's very cool.
It is.
You told me, and that's like rad. Too rad, maybe too rad, Chad.
Too rad.
So this we're just gonna go through a little bit of history. Memories, why we liked the brand, what got us into it, all that stuff, and then sort of go through iterations, which we have some here that we can show off, and our thoughts on those versions. as well as He-Man being back now in 2020, which is very exciting. And for 80s fans, I mean, we got the real Ghostbusters coming back. We got G.I. Joe. Hasbro has relaunched the G.I. Joe line. That's exciting. And Mattel has relaunched the Masters of the Universe.
It's a dream. I mean, it really is a dream.
Insane.
I mean,
it is really insane.
I would have never expected any of this could be possible. But I'm glad that it's happening. You know?
Yes. So, okay, Chad Too Rad.
That's me.
I want to find out. This is interesting, and I often I feel bad asking this question, and I don't want people to take it the wrong way. And when I post on forums as well, it's never like a. When I ask the question, okay, so you are younger.
Of course, yes.
And any of these He-Man fanatics, there's a lot of He-Man fanatics that are younger.
Mm-hmm.
I am 43. I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, so like...
Mentally, he's 12.
That's true. That is definitely true.
I'm the same.
But you are, and you just had a birthday, so what are you now?
My lucky number, 37.
37.
Yeah.
Okay, so by the time, so He-Man, let's say.
So I was born in 83.
Okay, so let's say we all know that the Masters movie pretty much was the end of the road for He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 87. And really the line.
Yeah.
Was done. And at that point, I was 10 years old. Where did the Masters thing happen for you?
Okay.
Because of the age difference.
Sure.
Because of the marketplace.
Yeah.
I don't know. Unless, like, I always say, oh, was it like a family member or a brother or a cousin or somebody who, like, you played with these things and you saw them, or you know, or I guess you would have been of age around when they started to do the
dwindling
weird
down.
space He-Man thing in like 89
Yeah.
or whatever. Which I didn't even give a shit about. I was like, no thanks.
Well, I'm assuming we'll talk about New Adventures of He-Man.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like, no thanks for me. But, so, yeah, you can understand the question. I'm
No.
I'm not saying, yeah, you're not a fan. I'm just honestly wondering, how does one, at your age, dip into He-Man?
Especially being so late in the game.
Yes.
By the time I was born in 83, September. I was adopted at age 1 by my biological grandfather.
Okay.
That's a whole nother story. My biological grandfather at that time had his own son, and my brother. Okay, to make sure everything is understandable for me, I apologize, everybody. I'm going to refer to him as my brother.
Okay.
He is 8 years older, so he was born in 75.
Right.
So he any toys that he had that he was done with, little brother got him.
Okay.
And here's a funny story I also got his clothes. So if you can imagine, I'm still wearing his clothes in like 1991. It is not a very popular thing when everyone's wearing long baggy stuff and you're still wearing like 1980s running gym shorts. But anyway, the cartoon was insanely popular in my house. And
well, that's one thing for sure.
Yeah.
The cartoon never stopped.
No, it never did.
That was syndication heaven. That was like constant.
Absolutely.
It's still going somewhere in the world.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Like they were airing it on the USA Cartoon Express, I think, in the early to mid-90s as well. But the cartoon was always on. My late father, and we'll get into that in a little while, because there is a lot of connection there. It was one of our things to just sit and watch G.I. Joe and He-Man, because once I came into the picture, he actually decided to stay at home and be a stay-at-home caretaker, and he did have a Mr. Mom shirt. I have a photo of my dad on Christmas morning wearing a shirt that says Mr. Mom, and essentially
Nice.
And, you know,
So your dad was Michael Keaton.
he was, and we tried to keep the chainsaw away from him, and it just didn't work. But, you know, and especially at that time, we actually, even in sitcoms, you would see that happening a lot. Like, the dad was taking on that role. But, you know, because I had my brother's toys, and like you said, the cartoon was always on. I mean, my house was full of He-Man.
Great.
You know, so.
Do you remember, like, I mean, was it... what other properties were around?
G.I. Joe was the biggest
Joe.
one.
Okay.
My family really was into TV.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was a big science fiction buff, and
Right.
the day my mom told me that one of his favorite movies was Dune, I wanted to just disown my whole family. But, you know, so a lot of Batman 66. My
Okay.
first
Yeah,
exposure to Batman was because of my dad. And,
great.
you know, thanks to my dad, I have a deep love for Yvonne Craig and Batgirl. That's never going to end. Sorry, Lori. But, you know, I just, stuff that he shared with me has always stuck with me. The Batman, G.I. Joe, He-Man, to this day, I mean, just everything. I mean, Roddy Piper. I mean, my father was from Scotland, and just a short little aside, you know, he was from Scotland, and he had the thickest Scottish accent you could ever
wow.
imagine. It was great.
Okay.
So when my dad died, that was in '89, and like I said, I was 6. I started tuning into wrestling more, and Roddy Piper, I started connecting him and my father.
Totally.
You know, and and that makes sense because, you know, the accent. Roddy was from Scotland.
Yeah.
And I actually got to tell Roddy that, and you know, when he was with us at a convention, and I just told him how much he reminded me of my father, and actually I started crying, and he just gave me the biggest hug and said, "I love you, man. I love you. It's okay. It's okay." And you know, that
He
stuff.
was, I mean,
Unbelievable.
Motu aside, Roddy was the man.
He was.
Roddy was a...
I'm allowed to curse on this, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Fuck Hulk Hogan. Fuck you, Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, this show is not for kids. It's for it's for big kids.
It's for big boys
It's for-
and mature ladies.
Yes, that's right. And big. That's
Well,
right.
hey, nothing wrong.
I love the big bone ladies, BBWs,
Oh.
the BBWs of the universe. That's right.
Yes. They are the masters of the universe, of our hearts.
That's right. Okay, so now did they? I mean, I would assume wrestling, He-Man, the appeal was sort of there. They were all ripped dudes who could, like, you know, take on the universe. I mean, was that appealing? That, you know.
And you know, I think that even maybe my love of wrestling, can be traced back to He-Man. I mean, at the time, you know, you saw Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, better than the other two. You know, they looked like Masters of the Universe figures. I mean, they looked like human cartoon action figures. So, yeah, that's probably where that connection started. And my love of wrestling is just as strong today as it was when I was 6.
So did you, was Masters just a constant throughout your life? You just never sort of let it go?
Yes.
You know, you were still just kind of picking things up here, picking things
Oh
up
my
there.
gosh.
Whatever it was.
It
never left you.
Never. I was actually still playing with Masters of the Universe figures when probably I was like 8, 9, 10. You know, even when like X-Men and all these other cool things were still coming into play, my heart still belonged to Masters of the Universe because, you know, those figures, as maybe as dated as they were by, like, let's say 93, 94, perhaps, some of them could be, they still had the place in my heart, and I just couldn't let them go. Funny story, one of the very first internet sites that I was looking up, other than Linda Carter sites, in 95, 96, oh my goodness, yes indeed. Whew.
She truly is a Wonder Woman.
Oh, that's true. It was actually Adam Tyner's He-Man site.
Okay.
Which was yippee.com, and he had like all these sections dedicated to other things. He-Man.org was actually born through that.
Wow.
Because he actually formed it. He abandoned that site, and then he helped create He-Man.org. But I always remember, being like, oh, I wonder who else, what other He-Man stuff is out there. Because I would go to yard sales, when my mom, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, whatever, and if I saw He-Man, I'd pick it up.
Yeah.
I never let go of He-Man. It's,
That's
it's just, like you said, constant.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome! 10 points.
So, yeah, I mean, mine was, He-Man was like the second biggest toy thing for me. First was Star Wars, Kenner kid, born 77. It just was, that's how it was going to be.
There's no
I came into the
competition.
world being a Star Wars kid. But once He-Man hit, that was the second biggest toy line, hands down. So you're playing with Star Wars figures, 3 3/4, and then you see these 5-inch bemuscled barbarian, space barbarians. I was just like, this what is, And so I started getting the toys for my family, and this was before the cartoon even started.
Oh, that's right.
So I was
That's
just
right.
like, these are... So I would have my He-Man, like, kicking the shit out of my Star Wars guys. And at that time, in my little brain, the He-Man were the good guys and the Star Wars were the villains. It didn't matter if it was Luke or Han or any of those guys. It was,
I can see that.
even though my love for Star Wars continues to this day, and I was still getting Star Wars toys right through 85.
He's still getting Star Wars toys now, guys.
I still am, yes, of course.
Still is.
But I would say, those first toys were Star Wars and He-Man, and then Mask, and then Real Ghostbusters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the weird stuff like Centurions and Sectors and all that stuff. That was all in between.
Sure.
But the biggies, come on, the biggies, hands down in the 80s. I mean, it was the Kenner stuff. It was Mattel, Masters of the Universe. So that's, that's where my really when it started. My first, and it was always random family members who would just bring home, here's a new toy, and because Star Wars and He-Man were really the biggest properties out there, that's what I was getting, either Star Wars or He-Man.
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Wars or He-Man. And then I remember the day that I actually saw He-Man in a store. That I'll never forget because I had never seen anything like that. The way that they displayed their He-Man and the packaging and how big the packaging was and how big the vehicles and Grayskull and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
It was like I had never seen before. And Star Wars impressed. Believe me, I was impressed by Star Wars. I loved picking through those aisles, but to see a He-Man display, it was just like, this is a whole new thing for me, So that I'll never, ever forget. And that is the reason why I am keeping these particular, the Filmation 2.0 Super 7, these guys, I am going to keep them in their packages. Other than the shitty, grotesque, as seen on TV thing blast that they got on the packaging, it is the packaging. And I love seeing He-Man packaging together.
Man.
So that's why I will never be opening these.
That makes sense.
But we will get to that.
Yes, of course.
And
It's beautiful.
so, yeah, I had He-Man paraphernalia,
Ooh.
sticker books, coloring books, the lunchbox,
The lunchbox.
all that stuff.
The metal one?
It's over there. Actually, it's right over there.
Is it? Oh.
It's over there.
It's behind a million things.
So
That's okay.
I'm getting a crazy glare.
No, that's okay, man.
It's just one of the guys. Her boobs are.
Oh, Terry. Not Terry Callan either. Hi, Terry.
All right.
Terry Griffith is better looking at, I think. Terry Cowan's a good looking dude.
So, so yeah, I was getting all that crap as I was getting older. Definitely around that. Listen, 85, forget about it. 85 Mask was, because at that point, Kenner was ending the Star Wars line. And Kenner was putting out Mask, and that took over everything for me. I still played with my, Transformers. I still played with my Star Wars. I was still playing with He-Man, of course, but I was mixing all of them together, and Mask took over everything.
Did you ever use your stormtroopers or any of the troopers or guards or anything as G.I. Joe Vipers or anything like that?
Well, I
know that this is off topic.
I know, and we did do an episode, a part 1, because I know you're going to be on a G.I. Joe episode.
Oh, of course.
But Bobby and I did do a part 1 episode of G.I. Joe, and I do go through my...
Bobby, I love you.
I do go through my history, and it isn't that big.
Oh, okay.
It's very small. But I will say...
Just like the G.I. Joes themselves.
That's right. I will say I definitely played with the G.I. Joe that I had with all the other things. With all the other figures.
Let me just say this. The red... I can't remember his... Oh, the Royal Guard from Empire Strikes Back. And he has that long face and kind of helmet.
Oh, that's from Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. I'm sorry. Thank you. I just lost 1 billion points. I actually would use him as a Crimson Guard Cobra Commander.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Do you have him?
See, that's clever.
Yeah, see? Like, he kind of has that Cobra Commander mask.
And it works, man. Like,
I mean, the hood.
When we were kids...
Oh, jeez.
Everybody played with everybody. The worlds combined.
Oh, my gosh.
We were doing MCU...
Oh, gosh, yeah, we beat you guys to it.
Oh, they were doing it in the comics. But with our toys...
Megos don't count.
It was, my God, it was multiverse upon multiverse, He-Man,
it was
Star Wars.
A melting pot of toys, geekery. I mean, that's the reason people still so fondly remember the 80s now, and we're talking about He-Man.
The pop culture exploded. It really was sort of created.
We're not still talking about the 70s for a reason. Thank God.
That's right.
Although it was Linda Carter. Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, too.
So, what I was getting to was that by that time, say the movie came out, I really was done with the He-Man toys.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And my friends and I, we went to see the movie. And I came out of the movie, well, we all really came out of the movie sort of wondering what the hell just happened. Like, this was not our He-Man. And even at that point, we were a bunch of 10-year-olds going, what was that? That's not He-Man.
He doesn't have a gun.
I didn't start to appreciate the Masters of the Universe movie until I got into my 20s. And now I love it. I really do enjoy that film. And I watch Masters every single year.
Yes.
So there's just something, it's something about it. I love cheesy sci-fi, and I love what they tried to do, and God, do I love canon films, so, but it really, it's not a He-Man movie. So, but anyway, by that time, that must have been prime time for some of the shit that was coming out for you, because for me, I didn't like... Clamp Trap or whatever the hell, Clamp.
The Snake Men.
I didn't dig any of that stuff.
Snake Men.
Scare Glow for me was like, because I was just like, my He-Man is over.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the first couple lines, but then the more that they got hokey, the more that they were riding dinosaurs and shit like that, I was like, no thanks. This just isn't for me anymore. I love what I love, but I'm going to just leave this by the wayside.
Sure.
And then, I guess just throughout the years, growing, if there was any sort of He-Man that I would see, ephemera here and there, I would be like, oh, I used to have that, maybe I'll get that. So, yeah, that's how that happened. And this...
Oh, there it is.
And this...
Oh...
these are my He-Man from when I was a kid. That my aunt sent to me from my old house in Wellsville. She's like, I figured you'd want these. So,
And how much did you start crying?
I didn't, but I was smiling. I was like,
Oh.
my God, like, I can't believe they're here. You know, like, here they are.
So to point, I don't know if you've ever shown it on one of your videos. Seaver has like the biggest backyard I've ever seen, and what I imagine is you grabbing this, your figures, just racing the hell out and just screaming, "I have the power."
I would like to.
That sounds like a great time.
I
to
feel
me.
like all of us should do that right now.
Funny enough, there is a home video that my mom took of me at like age 4 or whatever. So that's 87. And, you know, it's after school. I'm sorry, my dad did this, took this because I'm getting off the bus and I'm running around back. I grab a stick and I just yell and scream, "I have the power, I am He-Man." So last year I went back down to Maryland. One of the reasons I go down to Maryland every March is, you know, I get to see my mom, I get to see my friends, and we get to go to Monster Mania. Dolph Lundgren was there. We'll get to my thoughts on the movie in a minute. And I had a sword. You used the sword before. It's a giant foam replica, exact size. I had that sent down. My mom, you know, I'm down there for a day or two, and my mom just pops in a home video, and I'm like, I have that He-Man sword that I had sent to your house, and we just watched a clip. We can go to that exact spot, and I want to recreate that, and guess what? I did, and I have the biggest smile on my face doing it.
That's great.
Oh, gosh, I tell you what, there's just something about He-Man, man, that just...
Well, there's nothing like the high of nostalgia. You know?
That's true, yeah.
It's
yeah.
it's a powerful, powerful beast.
It's a powerful master.
Yes. So,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty much over with.
Yes.
He-Man was gone.
Done.
Other than our memories and our love and,
Uh-huh.
and what would continue.
In our hearts.
And then...
In
There was-
1989.
Okay. We can get to that. If you want to
Okay.
talk about that.
There's a couple
Let's do that,
chapters.
because
Okay,
that's
let's just
you.
get that over with.
Yeah, you can go into that.
He-Man in 89. Not good. The toys were not good. I think that I appreciate them more now than I did. In 1989, Filmation lost the rights to another company. I think it was called Jet Lag, that was produced through Nelvana. I could be wrong, but they did a lot. The animation in the cartoon was better than Filmation. There was an actual story. It just wasn't like, you know, a Monster of the Week type deal. They actually had a story going. The figures looked more, they were more of like, I'd probably say a Thundercat, but like probably a lot smaller. They weren't as unique. They weren't really that good. And the only, I think, good thing about it is that the Skeletor on it, who was played, I wanted to say Alvin Saunders, but I know I'm wrong. And if someone wants to correct me, that's fine. But Skeletor was inspired by Jack Nicholson. If you go back and watch all of those, he was essentially playing the Joker. Not a good cartoon. The first time I saw the toys, I wanted to just... I remember where I was. I was at my friend Brian's house, and he had just gotten them because we had a mutual love of He-Man still.
Yeah.
He didn't hold on to it as much as I did, but he had literally everything. And when I say everything, he even had Eternia.
Yeah.
To the point that he actually forgot that it was called Eternia and called it the Puppet Master's playset. Brian, I haven't forgotten. But he shows me them, and I'm like, that's not He-Man. That's not He-Man at all.
Yeah.
So, New Adventures of He-Man,
Yeah, there's people out there who like it.
and that's great. That's fantastic.
It wasn't for me.
No.
No. You know, I was... And again, regardless of my age, because I was still into toys and all the fun stuff, but at that point... You know, I'm 12 years old. That was not He-Man to me, and I didn't, you know, even so much so that when the Friday that Ghostbusters 2 opened, I saw the first morning show. My aunt dropped me off. She went off and did something. So I saw the first showing of Ghostbusters 2, and in the beginning of Ghostbusters 2...
We want He-Man!
Yeah, who are you going to call? He-Man. My face was scrunched up. I was like, He-Man was like years ago. You know, and my 12-year-old self is like, again, I still love the He-Man that I loved, but I was like, for this movie, I was like, why are they talking... What kids still want He-Man?
Apparently Jason Reitman.
You know, I guess so.
My gosh. But you know what? In the He-Man burnout at that time, I mean, we all look back fondly at He-Man and Masters of the Universe. It's never really brought up the burnout towards the end.
Yeah.
There was so much product. There was so much He-Man. Your feelings coming out of the movie compared to mine are two totally different feelings. When my dad actually took me to go see it on my birthday as a surprise.
Yeah.
1987, that Saturday. I want to say it was September 1st, but I'm sure, whatever. But I came out and I loved He-Man even more. Like, I got to see my hero on the big screen, live and in person, and I was rooting him on in the theater. I think I was one of, like, it was later in the month, so, like, the movie wasn't doing the greatest. So there were maybe like 3 or 4 other people, and they were all
so you were
adults.
4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Is that one of your like earliest?
Yes.
For me, that's when my memories
Yes.
really start. Is
Yes.
when I was 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be something, you know,
Yeah.
to be like 4 years old and be like, I just saw Masters of the Universe.
Oh, dude.
And being a kid like that,
Oh my gosh.
and
Especially on your birthday, and it's a surprise. I remember it. It's weird that I can't remember things as well 15 years ago. Well, that's for different reasons. But I can remember this day clear as a bell. I was on cloud 9. I remember going out into in the lobby of the theater, and I was staring at that theatrical poster because it was facing the entrance. And I was just like, oh man, like there was such a high.
Yeah.
And I watch it now. Yes, it has problems. No, it's not He-Man, but to me, man, I love that movie. I love that movie so much, and it's fun, it's entertaining.
Absolutely.
I've watched it probably 100 times since 1987, and
you know what's interesting? My wife,
Mm-hmm.
who is 9 years younger than me, very picky individual when it comes to what she likes, what she thinks is cheesy, what she doesn't. Probably 5 years ago, I showed her Masters of the Universe, the movie, and she loved it.
okay,
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it, and I had such a giant smile on my face.
Isn't that great?
I was like, you liked this? She goes, that was really, really fun.
it is a fun movie. It is a fun movie, and you know what? My wife had the opposite reaction. We're watching it, and this is why my wife and I get along so well. We're watching it, and she's like, "This is like an expensive trauma movie. This is just crap." And I'm like, "But it's fun crap, and it's my crap.
Yeah.
You like Mannequin? I love this."
I love Mannequin as well.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. That's another therapy session.
So I wanted to get to
Yeah.
when He-Man came back in 2002. 2002.
Cartoon Day and Toys debuted in 2001, but the announcement was in 2002, but the announcement was in 2001
Yeah.
due to He-Man.org actually revealing it.
2000, they released the commemorative.
They
issues.
did, and those are a pain in the butt to find.
Of course. Well, you know, I mean,
You know what we're also leaving out? That was at the beginning of this 80s nostalgia. That was at the time when people kind of, as they were getting older, they were like, oh yeah, the 80s. I love those toys. I love this. I love that. You saw like iMockery and X Entertainment, now Dino Drag popping up. Someone else.
well, I was still hanging on to everything.
Yeah, same.
Hanging on to my 80s love. I never let it go.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
Yeah.
I was a curmudgeon-y jerk, pretty
Uh,
much, growing up in the 90s and the
90s
2000s.
are crap.
Because I was just like, man, nothing's ever going to be like the 80s, man, you know.
Yep.
I'm sure just how, like, the people who grew up in the 70s, people who grew up in the 60s, nothing's ever going to be like the 60s, nothing's ever going to be like the 70s.
Well, that's very true.
Well, nothing is ever going to be like the 80s again.
I remember
But
the exact...
boy, are we trying.
Yeah, we're trying. And you know what? Another side note, I remember exactly where I was and what year it was when I said, man, the 80s were just so badass. It was 1996. I was in a, like one of those like after school tutors. It's like, Sylvan or something like that. I don't know if you guys have those up here. But I'm sitting and I'm looking at this, it's just like an office. And I'm like, man, this whole office is so 80s. And then I'm like, man, the 80s were badass, you know, and blah, 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 blah. And that was 1996.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it never ended. But yeah, you know, He-Man 2000, they call it 2000X.
Yeah. So these were the commemorative line figures.
Oh, the Evil Lyn is the commemorative one.
I got a merman over there as well. But they essentially were just re-releasing the original figures.
I had never seen, man.
And they were so hard to get. Because it's a never-ending circle of pain when it comes to nostalgia taxers and scalpers and people who call themselves collectors, but really they're just in it for the money. And they were doing it back then. I mean, it's a tradition to swipe from people who really, really want to enjoy this stuff. So, I really was never able to get what I wanted. I think I ended up with a He-Man and Skeletor from the commemorative line, and then I sold them.
Of course.
Much like I will talk about for the 2002 line. I went apeshit. I was like, He-Man is back! I adored the cartoon. To this day, I think it's fantastic. I still watch it. I think it's great. The 2002 cartoon, it's
I think it's the best out of all three
really
so far.
something special. And
Oh my gosh. So much care in that cartoon.
and those toys, I went nuts for. And at the time, we were living in a me and my girlfriend, and then our friends, we got a townhouse together.
Oh, wow.
And I pretty much ruled this roost. I made the whole townhouse into my image.
So essentially, your townhouse looked like this room.
Basically.
I love
So I remember our living room was He-Man. This new 2002. All the figures were up on the walls. I had the boxes. I had, posters, any of that shit. I was like, He-Man is back, baby, yeah! Yeah! And then, like so many things, I had to take those packages down and I ended up selling them. And it was heartbreaking. I remember it. I had to, there was a month where it was pretty rough with rent-wise, and I had to get rid of them for rent's sake, for living's sake. And I was able to make rent with that whole collection, which, But I'll say this, and I know I am probably in the minority in this. Looking back at those figures, I am not a fan of them anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Really?
I aesthetically, I don't like them. I don't like the packaging. I don't like how sinewy and
Oh, yeah, that anime kind of...
weird they were.
Okay.
Yeah, it just, with 43-year-old eyes, it doesn't appeal to me.
That's fair.
So anytime I've been at like a vintage shop or anything and I see them, I just pass them right
cringe.
by. I'm just like, like a lot of 90s toys where I look at 90s toys and
Toy Biz X-Men.
I'm like, oh, no, God, these are terrible.
The goggles, they do nothing.
But I appreciate what it did. If anything, it reignited that love for Masters of the
Yes,
Universe, and
yes.
not just for us,
Oh my gosh.
man-children,
Yeah.
but for kids who were like, "Whoa, these." They must have looked amazing to like 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds,
And
at the
mentally
time.
5-year-olds too.
Well, yeah. Again, like me
Yeah.
at the time,
At the time, yeah, that's true.
2000. I was, I was deep into my 20s at that point, and I loved them. I was
Yeah.
like, these are amazing. He-Man's back. But I don't know, man.
I'll say this. I love them. I still love them. I loved them then. Me and my friend Ryan at the time, we went insane for them.
Yeah.
And like we were going to every length to try and find all of them, even the stactions. You could only I think you could only get like the stactions at like certain stores. And the day that they announced on He-Man.org that it was being canceled, like I remember him calling me up and being like, and he had the just the saddest tone in his voice, and he was like, "It's over," and I'm like, "Your engagement?" And he's like, "No, worse," and I'm like, "Worse? Is your mom okay?" He's like, "He-Man just got canceled." I'm like, "Gosh, that is worse."
Yeah.
For me, I loved it because the figures stood out. They were different. It was a different style. It was a different look, and these were all done by the Four Horsemen, and you could tell that there was a love, and they were fans, and they were inspired by the original series and all of the Motu mythology. Do they hold up? I can't say all of them hold up. For the longest time, they were my favorite He-Man figures, but we're gonna get to my...
There's certain designs, man, like Trapjaw or Triclops, who actually look truly fantastic.
Oh.
They still
Triclops looks like a statue.
really look awesome. They look badass. But overall, aesthetically, it's just like, oh no, I can't do it. I can't.
I can see that, and I can appreciate that. You know what figure was my holy grail out of that whole line? Was the She-Ra. Because that was offered after the line was canceled, and it was offered as a Wizard World exclusive. My friend Ryan and I, we actually had planned to drive to Chicago to the Wizard World that year just for that, and I think that they were doing like a special He-Man, celebration signing and an event. So, needless to say, we didn't go. I actually got one years ago.
Okay.
I sold it, but
It's always the way.
it honestly, my nephews were 6 and 4 at that time, and to see them embrace He-Man, the one thing that we're not mentioning, the merchandising wasn't on the same level as the original series, but there was a lot of merchandise still, and they had it all. So seeing them, wear a He-Man shirt. We actually went down to Disney World in 2003, and there is a photo of them wearing a He-Man shirt.
That's awesome.
Funny enough, in 1987, there's a photo of me and my father in the Magic Kingdom, and what shirt am I wearing? So it's like...
John Stamos.
That's right! So it's like, man, to see my nephews embrace He-Man, that was pretty special for me, because... they had liked the He-Man toys that I had, but now these were theirs. They could say that they had everything. I bought them. I spent so much money on you guys. You guys are in your 20s now. You can pay me back.
Well, that's what I loved when River, was a little younger.
Yeah.
Because ever since he was little, I pushed everything 80s
Same.
onto him.
Mm-hmm.
And he appreciated He-Man. He was watching He-Man all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When he was in bed at night, ready to fall asleep, he would watch He-Man. And then for his 9th birthday, I bought him a shit ton of old He-Man toys, and he just loved it. And that stuff, I 100% can get behind.
Sure.
There's a lot of man babies who are crying right now, like, they don't look like this, they don't look like that.
They look cheap.
Well, you're forgetting that you're probably 45 years old, and these are also for kids.
Yes.
Don't forget that these are for kids, and there's people out there who are like us who love this franchise, saying, they're not for kids. Come on, don't even play. They are for us. Well, guess what? We were kids when they first came out.
Yeah.
Well, who got us into them? Nobody. We just saw them. We're like, holy shit, these look badass. So no kids of today can look at these dope-ass barbarians, space barbarians, and go, wow, what is this? I want this. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
Get over yourself.
Seriously. And I swear if I have to hear one more person complain that the new toys look cheap, they don't like the designs, Prince Adam's haircut, it's like... It's, guys,
and you,
it's a cartoon about... Look at this. Look. It's a cartoon about this guy.
And you have the original.
What's stopping them from, like, just fucking around with the original?
Like, why do they care?
Not only that, they have, like, 5 other versions. They have the Super 7.
Yeah.
They have the classics. They have the new They have the 2000X. There's so many other versions out there.
These new ones don't look like these 7 previous ones I had.
Seaver, I gotta tell you, and you guys are gonna love this. I was on a forum this past, actually I think it was Wednesday. There was a guy complaining because the new Scareglow figure, which by the way, the fact that we're getting a Scareglow and it's not gonna be $5,000 is amazing. He was complaining because the rib cage paint job on the new figure is not accurate to the original. And I said, well, don't buy it. And he's like, well, I'm not gonna because I already have one. And I'm like, what the fuck are you complaining about?
Oh my
this may be the most volatile we've ever done. But
fans, man. You
and
can't please them.
And how do you make He-Man survive without letting the new generation play with it?
Yeah, you just update it a little bit, man. It's I don't know.
I always say the reason He-Man hasn't endured like a Transformer, a G.I. Joe, well, maybe G.I. Joe's a bad example, but because the younger generation hasn't really embraced it like we did, and we're not.
Well, they haven't had a chance to because
yes.
When Mattel decided to do the classics line, it was all exclusive. You had to be a Matty collector. You had to shell out $50 here, $50 there. Like it wasn't. And I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. I was grumbling and bleh, like He-Man should be a retail toy. Like up until recently, up until Mattel decided to fucking take it back and say this is what we're gonna do. I was grumbling about Super 7. I was grumbling about the classics. I was grumbling about Matty Collector. These fucking things should be back on retail shelves.
Yes.
Like, why is He-Man not a thing? You know? And so, that's one of the reasons why I never got classics. I have 2 classics figures, and I didn't get them until last year. And that is...
Those are beauties.
Grizzlord and Mantenna. Now, the only reason I got these was because I was like, you know what? I love that they look exactly like the Filmation cartoon, and I love the Horde. So I was like, if I'm going to get any classics,
Gotta be the Horde.
I'm just going to get the Horde stuff, and that's it.
You know, looking at these, can you point them out? You can hear Lou Scheimer's voice coming out of these two as you're looking at them. I'm not personally a fan of the classics. And so I kind of just, I said, you know what, that's going to be for the high rollers, the people that really want them. They're not going to be for me.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And that's fine. They can.
That's great. And these do look fantastic, but they just weren't for me. But, man, I was kind of turned off by the height. I would have preferred this articulation with the Motu 2000X.
So
that was my preference.
So then Super 7 decided, you know what? And again, I was grumbling and pissy at Super 7 for the way that
most people are, to be fair.
All their stuff is handled. Exclusives, never able to get in unless you're paying on the secondary market to nostalgia taxers. This, that, and the other thing. Then they made these guys, and I was like, you know, these are actually really cool. That they basically did the original molds, but with Filmation style, the cartoon style. And I was like, you know what? I will get behind those. And, oh, wow, they're not making them so that you can't get them. They were readily available. Now, were they readily available in stores? No. That part still pissed me off.
Same.
But you could essentially get the whole line and not pay thousands and thousands of dollars like you would if you were trying to get the Classics line or your original He-Man
Yes.
line.
And that's another thing. Can I point this out? You can still get an original Skeletor. Maybe he doesn't, maybe he's beaten up, maybe he's loose, maybe he doesn't have his accessories. Fairly cheap. So if you guys are complaining about these prices,
These are
go to the Goodwill. Go to the flea market in Avon. You're going to be able to find 87 Robotos for like a quarter.
yeah. So I felt like with Mattel saying that Masters was coming back was like it was like, you know, King Randor coming down from on high and saying, "Don't worry, Eternians, there is hope within the galaxy."
The sorceress was saying she was going to do Playboy.
Yeah, of course. The sorceress.
I mean, not that I've ever thought of that.
But Mattel was coming back to make He-Man, and that they were going to be in retail. That excited me to no end. And then we started seeing images of what they looked like.
Oh my gosh.
And this was, to me, the best case scenario possible.
Yes.
The fact that they're bringing an old school vibe to them with new school articulation.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that is like a cream come true for an adult fan and for kids alike of today. You're getting that articulation, but you're also getting something that reminds you of what you grew up with. It's amazing.
I'm sorry, I can't get over a cream.
It is a cream come true.
It is. And you know what, admittedly, when they first showed these off, and you're going to be showing them off in a second, the bratty part of me was like, oh, well, they just look like the Super 7. Why do I want to pay, $15 for a Super 7? But once we started getting more details, once we started getting, no, they're not going to be like the Super 7. Imagine a Marvel Legends and a, Super 7, figure combined. All your favorite articulation, all the best articulation, all the best head sculpts, all the best colors. I was proven wrong, and I feel foolish. I feel stupid because
I was
I
on
fell
board
in that.
from the get-go.
He was,
I was just
100%.
like, oh my god, this is going to be amazing. But what they started doing was they started testing the market, okay? They started testing the market in a very awesome and cool way.
They did. And it makes me giggle and smile so much. Can I just do a quick...
go off.
Guys, I'm 8 foot, so I keep... But when we were kids, and I'm sure you would do this too, we had our wrestling rings. Sometimes maybe we didn't have enough wrestling figures to do a Royal Rumble. What were the next best things to a Hasbro or an LJN? He-Man.
He-Man.
So, what did Mattel do?
They decided to meld their I'm going to say it, WWF, because that's what I love, that's what I always
It's fair.
love. I can't get behind the WWE, and I never will. WWF. So they combined the worlds of their WWF line with their new He-Man line, and they created these wonderful, amazing hybrid master of the WWF universe.
Oh, look at them. And now Seaver's not like me. He's not going to take this one out.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, no.
Because I really love the way this looks.
The package is great. I mean, it's fresh, it's new, but it's also familiar. And I mean...
And they just literally took the wrestling world and threw it into Eternia, and you're getting the best of both. If you are a fan of either property,
oh my gosh,
I don't know why you wouldn't get these. And clearly it worked.
It did.
Because this shit was flying off the shelves, sold out. Each line is always sold out.
Better than the last.
Yes, you're going to find some peg warmers, but for the most part,
well,
but I believe that's because they made so many of certain figures.
They did. They did a lot of like Finn Balor, a lot of Ultimate Warrior, a lot of Triple H.
Cena. I see Cena a lot.
How do you see something that's not there? Let me say this. This actually was birthed out of the death of the WWE Retro line, which is, of course, the line that was inspired by the 90s Hasbros. And a lot of collectors, when these were announced, they were like, that gets a line and we don't get our retro figures. The thing is that I'm not going to remove these from the package. If you guys take the armor off these figures, these are some of the greatest wrestling figures you could ever own and display. I mean, the faces...
And something that they did with these, which is awesome, is that you can take off all the body parts.
Oh my gosh!
And you can switch them with other Masters line figures and WWF line figures. So you can create your own character. You can create your own monster within the worlds. And it's just an awesome, awesome, very cool thing.
And when this one in particular was announced...
Well,
oh my gosh! Obviously because it's Randy Savage. But
I had to go after the ones that I personally
and that makes sense.
Loved as an '80s kid. So I went after Ultimate Warrior. I went after Macho Man. I ordered the Hulk Hogan with the ring, with the Snake Mountain ring, which is awesome. And I ordered Mr. T, who looks like Fister.
Yes.
Who, by the way, they're out now.
I was
stores,
just about to
say, and I'm so pissed. No. That Walmart.com still has my pre-order of the Mr. T until October. But what? They're out in store now, man. Give it to me. I don't understand that. That pisses me off.
We pity the fool that doesn't get us our Mr. T.
That's right. That's right.
And coming up soon, Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper, my favorite wrestler. He's getting his figure. He looks like
he is going
Battle Damage He-Man.
He does.
It's awesome.
And he's going to destroy the F out of Hulk Hogan.
And I'm not a fan of Jake the Snake, but boy, does that toy look fantastic. And the accessory that they have with him.
Where he's snake face, you know?
It's
and
awesome.
You know, what's funny about that one is a lot of fans, when that was announced, because that was, I think, announced a little before San Diego Comic-Con, social distancing Comic-Con, Jake Roberts is with another company at this point. So a lot of fans were like, is this figure actually going to see the light of day? Because that happens all the time in wrestling. Sometimes if someone goes to another company, you know, and their figure is still in production.
Yeah.
But it's hitting stores. We're getting it. And we mentioned it earlier, I hate the Snake Men because I thought that they took the limelight from the Horde. And they're not for me.
Yeah, they weren't for me.
But that figure, that might be the
very cool.
It is
very cool.
And they did a Fiend who
I can't deny him that.
Yeah.
That they did a great figure.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
So I probably will find these and open them and keep these in. I fully am going to open my Mr. T.
Oh gosh, yes.
I definitely, because the figures come with the Snake Mountain ring, I'm going to open those. So when I find 2 more of these, I will open them, because I have yet to play with an actual new Mattel figure. And I've seen so many people do it. I've seen you pose them, and everybody says the posability is awesome. The stuff that you can do with them is fantastic, and that is exciting me to no end. But I was waiting for this video before I decided to open them all. So now we have it, folks. I finally was able to track down the first wave of Masters of the Universe Origins, thanks to lots of people.
Was Heckman one of them?
No, Heckman was not one of them. But
hi, Bobby.
My friend Nicole, Sean Pinkerton, who's a fan of the site, my friend Tom in Florida, he was able to track. They were all able to track these down in their stores respectively. Like, they were able to get them in stores, which is nice.
You texted me, I think, the week you were out of town. Hey, dude, Nicole just found the He-Man. Oh my gosh, we're finally getting it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, we were literally like 2 kids. Like, hey, guess what I got at Toys R Us today? You know, and it was. Yeah. It goes back to that power that He-Man has over us. And these figures, I just can't. I can't get over. Like, I feel like such. Look at that, an articulated battle cat.
Yes.
Get the hell out of town.
Opening all these figures. I will 100% be.
Oh, okay. I was gonna volunteer and sacrifice mine if you would like to open that.
No, I am going to be opening all mine. I am not saving the packages because I want to display these. I want to pose them. I want to play with them.
And you know what we need to kind of point out, the packaging is so, like, you know, I had brought up with the WWE ones, the packaging is so new yet familiar.
Yeah.
You know, that's totally inspired by an Earl Norham illustration, and I mean, you could have fooled me. I mean, if I was an adult and I haven't seen He-Man in 35 years, and I'm going to Walmart and I'm seeing that, I'm like, what year is this, bro?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But just look at that, Tila.
Here's Tila.
Who finally, you know, I think I like the Super 7 head sculpt more, but that is a damn great head sculpt as well.
I love the art. I love that we're getting the comic book still on the inside of the packages.
And I think that there are going to be new comics as well. I could be mistaken. I haven't really read them myself.
Oh, they're new. All the stories are new.
Oh, all the stories are new?
All the stories are new.
Oh, that's going to suck because I have that giant book that requires machinery to read.
The mini comic book.
Oh my gosh, I have that. So now I've got to get an adjusted one, or at least just put them in there.
So awesome.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And that Beastman, you know what? I'm not going to open them, but I would. This Beastman looks fantastic. Because that old Beastman, I don't know if you have him.
Which one? Right here?
The original Beastman. He looks ridiculous. And I've never been a big fan of that Beastman. That head sculpt, though, I think that's definitely better. It's just a little bit different, and his height seems to be a little bit taller than like He-Man and Skeletor and all that.
They bumped him up a tad.
And that's okay.
Size-wise.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Yeah, Evil Lyn.
Evil Lyn? I would love a movie Evil Lyn.
Oh, I'm actually shocked we never got that.
Well, it did take us long enough to get the Bill Stout collection. Man-at-Arms with mustache, kids.
That's right. They added the mustache.
Yeah. And that's a pretty good sculpt, too. That's a pretty good sculpt.
Well, what I love about them is that they really tried to make them look old school.
Yes. Updating.
Yes, they did it.
Yeah.
They did it.
I mean, there's no question about it.
Here's the Deuce. Skeletor and He-Man together again.
Together again. They never left.
And the amazing art on the back.
Look at that. And you know what? We're getting a second wave next month.
Don't even. I know. I'm like, how hard is it going to be to get the ones I want? It's going to probably be very hard.
I actually was at work.
I know you were able to get your
Scareglow. Which, Scareglow, for me, and you had kind of touched on it before, because it was never really established what he was in a major way, I always thought it was kind of lame, but the more I got, I was like, this is a Halloween Masters of the Universe character. What the hell am I complaining about?
If you look at it that way, yeah, it's a cool
and
character,
it's pretty,
but back
right
then
on.
I was just like,
yeah.
what the fuck, Scareglow? Nah, I didn't.
And then, I'll say this. Here's a funny story. No, it's actually not funny. There was a woman on Facebook Market, and I'm not going to name her name, but she was selling her son's entire Masters of the Universe collection. So you know something's going to be good. She had a complete Scareglow, and I was like, how much for, I didn't name him by name.
Yeah.
How much for him? I always wanted him as a kid. You use that. $35. What? He had the cape and the thing, the little weapon. Yeah. And all right, I will take him. I will Venmo you the money, or we can meet tomorrow. I'll give you cash. Yeah. So we set up we set up a meeting place. 10 a.m. the next morning. Hi, I've gotten a offer for $350 for that, and unfortunately, I have to take it. Part of me understood it because I was like, you're just selling them to make money. I get it, but then part of me was like, fuck this.
That's cold-blooded.
That's cold-blooded.
She said to you she would do it.
And I told her, I will not do business with someone who, even though you were being offered an extra amount. So it was like mixed emotions. I was that close, but the Scareglow we're getting is going to be so sick and badass. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, I was not fast enough to acquire the ones that I wanted in the new wave, so I'm hoping that Mattel is right, and by, the Christmas shopping time,
Oh, jeez.
all of these toys are going to be prevalent, and there's going to be plenty of them all in these, in the shops and everything, and I'm just hoping that's the case, because boy do I want Orko, and I want Manny faces
Oh, gosh,
from
yes.
the new line.
It could be I mean, imagine me. Look, our wives love us. Can you imagine, our age right now, and we're going under the tree, and we find out our wives bought us a He-Man figure too?
Oh, well, this was...
Oh my gosh!
This was last year.
Yeah.
My wife got all of these.
Oh, for Christmas.
For Christmas.
Oh, I love that.
So I had a Star Wars He-Man Christmas.
Oh my gosh!
And
some things don't change.
She knows how rough it's been to track these down, and she goes, "Listen, I'm not going all over the world
That's
to try
fair.
to find you these He-Man figures for Christmas." And I was like, "Oh."
Please?
So I'm gonna have to,
babe.
I'm gonna have to, she'll probably have to pay some shit prices, unless I can say, guess what? They have plenty down at Walmart.
I sure would like one,
Boy,
if you
do I
don't
want-
mind getting
I
one.
want that Orko and Man-E faces. I saw people somehow already have it. I don't know how, but there's video online of people who already have those figures. I'm like, how the hell did you get them?
You know what? You're bringing up a fond memory that I need to tell you. In 2002, when the He-Man figures were re-released, my mom and we both had to go to Kmart for something. I don't remember. She had to get some stuff. I had to get some stuff. What did they just put out? He-Man. The brand new He-Man figures. I had to have the one He-Man figure, the basic one, get to the register. I left my wallet at home. And I turned to my mom and I said, "Mom, I will pay you when I get home. Can you buy me a He-Man figure?" And she laughed and she was like, 20 years later and I'm still buying you He-Man figures. And I think she knows that connection I have with He-Man and my father.
Yeah,
and she actually bought me the He-Man Blu-ray for my birthday and one of the He-Man art books for Christmas. So she has never forgotten how much I love He-Man, but she likes that story too.
Awesome.
It's and I still have that He-Man.
Memories with He-Man.
It's just untouchable.
This was a gift from Bobby when I was just down there in Long Island. My friend Bobby Heckman, he gave me this is it. This is the run. This was it. And then
It's the entire run.
Yeah, of the Masters of the Universe magazine that he got.
Wow.
He wasn't a big Masters fan.
Right.
He was a G.I. Joe nut.
Sure.
So he was getting the G.I. Joe magazine. So what happened was, because the G.I. Joe magazine stopped, the subscription was still going, so they started sending, what's the new magazine? It's Masters of the Universe. So these are his. Look, you can see
covers.
that he barely even looked at these.
Yeah, Bobby, it looks like you barely... Oh, may I? Yeah. I want to show this one off myself. Now that is a cover. Look at that. Frank Langella's Skeletor. And people have complaints about the movie, and that's fine. Yeah.
See, this is when they were going cuckoo and started adding dinosaurs and shit to the line. This was the end of the line for Masters of the Universe.
The one thing I've always heard, people loved Skeletor.
Oh my gosh,
in the
of
movie.
course.
They said that was their favorite. And he's actually said that that's been his favorite role.
I know.
I do need to show off something here.
Go ahead.
Oh, you see up here, I don't know if you guys can make that out. I'm going to try and get that right there. There's a little contest in here to be inside of the movie. Or inside of the movie. The winner of that movie was a little kid, and he actually got to play Pig Boy. And what he did, his big role was he literally just hands Skeletor his staff towards the end of the movie.
But he's in the movie.
He's in the movie. He can say that the rest of his life.
That kid, you got to track that kid down for your blog.
I have tried.
Oh yeah,
I've tried. I've also tried to locate the Fearless Photog guy. We all know how. You don't know about the tale of Fearless Photog.
Fearless Photog.
There was a Mattel contest. It might even be in one of these magazines where you could submit an idea, and if it was
Oh,
chosen,
you're right. I did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that. The figure.
Yeah, and it was
yeah.
never made. Long story short, this kid was he won the contest. He went out. He got to go around Mattel. He got to go to Disney World. He got a little scholarship or something. The figure was never made until the Classics line when they produced the Fearless Photog figure. His name was Nathan Bittner, and on the Fearless Photog figure for Classics, they actually include a head that resembles him as a tribute. You know, since he didn't get his figure, guess what? You get one, and so does Fearless Photog.
That's great.
There's a lot of Motu madness going on, man. It's just wild, you know.
Oh, man.
I do have one.
Oh yeah, go
Yes, I do want to show some stuff off because I know that we're ready to kind of blast off over into the universe. This is my Gwildor from when I was a kid. I still have him. Obviously, he is beaten to crap. Does not have his cosmic key. And of course, you know, you got to show off yours. Here he is. That is my childhood He-Man that I've hung on to since 1986, 87 perhaps. And that is the Flying Fist He-Man.
Yeah, I still have that.
Oh, the battle damage.
That's mine from.
Oh, that's yours as well?
Yep.
See, I only got to have one He-Man. Or if I had another He-Man, you know, after I got him, he didn't last long. And you guys can definitely tell with who was more rougher with their toys.
Believe me, when my aunt sent this stuff up to me, I thought they were going to be worse than they were.
Oh, yeah.
So I was shocked.
That's in really good shape, though.
Yeah. She also sent a picture.
Well, no.
So, probably, it might have been 89, maybe early 90s. So a guy who went around the country as He-Man came to Wellsville, my hometown, and my aunt took me to meet him. But I was already of age of like, the fuck is this? You know what I mean? Because I was like in my teens, and I was like, what is this? And I didn't care. And so she sent the autograph that dude sent, that gave me. So she sent it with this stuff, and I was just laughing at this thing. I threw it away.
What?
Because I didn't care. I was
Savage!
I was like, this ain't He-Man.
My heart is breaking.
Dude who,
I think that guy's from Buffalo. I know exactly who you're talking about.
He probably was.
His name is like Jack something, and his wife would play She-Ra too.
Well, he was ripped and oiled.
He looked like Malibu from American Gladiators. Yup. So this is going to be another piece that I show off.
Ooh.
My father made this for me out of like some fabric that he got at the store. And I've had it since I was a kid. I don't know how well that's going to look. But it's, just a basic fabric print of all the characters. And my favorite part of this, Too Bad is on there. And Too Bad is one of my favorite characters. Just because they're so ridiculous, and I love that they could they were always arguing and fighting with each other.
Too bad, too bad.
Yeah. Too bad, Chad, too bad. But I've held on to this since I was a kid.
Awesome.
This has always been one of my most cherished pieces, and still love it to this day. I do have another piece. I don't know if I should show this. I don't know if I can.
What do you mean you don't know if you can? You can.
I have the power to
That's
show.
That's right. You do.
I stopped by our friend Ben's house before this, and I showed him this, and it's such a pain in the ass. This is the original poster.
Oh.
This isn't the poster that I remember seeing in the theater.
Is that a teaser poster?
It is a teaser poster. I got it on eBay for $10 in 2006, because I was convinced that when I would get my own apartment, I could hang this up. And then I actually met a girl, and
she wouldn't let you hang it up?
No, she actually likes this one.
Oh.
This is one of the few posters she actually liked. But coming to Earth in 1987, and it's signed by Eva Lynn. I'm going to try and get this. It's signed by Meg Foster. It's signed by James Tolkien, and it's signed by Robert Tower, who played Karg. And
sweet.
Yeah, and he did his very first convention at Chiller Theater this past last year.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And he was so blown away that I brought him something Masters of the Universe because he was doing a Banana Splits reunion. And, you know, even like, I think the Today Show was actually covering the reunion because it was such a big deal to so many people.
Yeah.
And he was so blown away and so grateful that I brought that, and I wanted to talk about He-Man and tell him how my dad took me to go see that. His wife was actually taking photos of us interacting and actually took a video of me and him talking, and she actually took a photo of him and I holding the poster together.
That's
and
great.
He couldn't have been nicer.
That's
and
awesome.
And I was like, "What was your favorite line?" He was like, "I didn't really have any favorite line. I didn't really say much."
I know.
And I was like, "Well, yeah, I get that."
I know. And was that was dubbed, right?
No, I think he told
Was
me.
it his voice?
He told me it was his voice. Yeah.
Okay. I always thought
unless-
it was a dubbed voice. Somebody who did the.
No. He told me that was his voice.
Okay.
And I guess he went back and recorded all that stuff later.
Yeah. They want,
You know,
had to with that limited.
Oh my gosh. And the fact that he just got his first figure too. He finally got a Karg figure.
Yeah.
And I even asked him, I'm like, did you like that? He's like, I loved it because I guess that they didn't get around to doing Karg when they did the last line with like Blade and Sorod, and we needed a Sorod, I guess. I don't know. And he's the one that got killed.
Yeah, he's out before. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah,
like
he's out
Punk,
before.
He's like
Thanks a
Boba
lot.
Fett,
Yeah. Well,
the Master's line. He's.
Sorod and the Master's line go hand in hand for a lot of good reasons.
Now, did you meet? You said you met Lundgren, right?
I did meet Dolph Lundgren. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you know what? I can here. You can. I'll send you the photo, and you can put it right here. I got to meet him in Monster Mania last year, and obviously, I know that in the past he's kind of taken issue with Masters of the Universe, and he's even commented, I felt stupid playing a toy.
Yeah.
And I to a sense, I get that because he just come off Rocky 4. Thank you. And
which is getting a re-release.
Yeah, director's cut. They're taking the robot out.
Stallone is doing a whole director's cut of Rocky 4. I'm very intrigued to see what this is going to look like.
I think that
because 4 is my favorite.
That's my favorite too, and I've never been a big Rocky fan.
Me either.
Yeah, but like that movie was
3 and 4 are
incredible.
like back to back for me. Like those are my two Rocky movies, 3 and 4.
Oh my gosh! Wait a minute. Mr. T was in Rocky 3.
Yeah.
Dennis. Dolph Lundgren was in Rocky 4. We're getting a Mr. T Masters of the Universe WWE figure.
My God.
Hulk Hogan was in Rocky 3 as well, and he's getting one too.
My God.
Oh my gosh.
Worlds are colliding. The Rocky world and the Masters world.
But yeah, I told him what He-Man the movie meant to me, and I even told him how I got to go see it with my late father, and he was like, "Wow, I really appreciate that. It's nice to hear a story like that." And he couldn't have been nicer. So in the photo, I brought that. I bought that sword just for that photo, and he's holding it, and he's just got his hand in his other pocket, and he looks so badass and just so like, oh my gosh, what is this? But for me, as I look at that as an adult, if I could go back and just tell my 4-year-old self, hey man, one day
you're gonna meet He-Man.
You're gonna meet He-Man. He's gonna be holding the sword. Oh my gosh,
that's what it's all about.
It really is, and I just I didn't get emotional that weekend, but just to just think of the level of oh my gosh, one of my most cherished memories, and that's why we do did conventions, but
they'll be back
eventually. But that's why we do conventions, like meeting Saved by the Bell cast, meeting Stan Lee, meeting Mark Hamill. If you had told us as kids you're going to meet all of your heroes, except Randy Savage,
but I did meet Roddy Piper,
You,
who was my wrestling.
yes, you know, but I mean,
And couldn't have been nicer. Couldn't have been. I mean, the dude is just, you know. I mean,
there's a reason he's.
loved his fans. Loved his fans. You know.
I mean, it was genuine. I've seen people just be there for paychecks, and
He wanted to know stories. He listened to
Oh
you.
my gosh.
He talked to you. He looked at you in the eyes. He cared for his fans. He cared for the people that appreciated him and his work. And Roddy, I mean, there was nobody like Roddy.
No, never, not in wrestling or in life.
Good
And
dude, really good.
I better stop before I get emotional.
Was a bummer. Was a total.
I don't that him and Randy are I think even more Roddy is the one that I'm just still not over. But no, I mean, He-Man just. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting all
He-Man,
emotional.
man. He-Man, man.
He-Man! He-Man!
It's
I actually got to speak to Lou Scheimer over the phone.
Oh, did you?
So, years ago, my friend and I did a website, and we did a Filmation fan group. I got a hold of Lou's office number, because he was still out in California, and I think he was doing Lou Scheimer Productions. This was about 0304. So, you know, I left a voicemail one day, and I was like, "Hi, Lou, my name is Chad, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, we would love nothing more than to interview you just for a little while." So this was before work.
Yeah.
And, you know, I get in the shower, and all of a sudden I hear the phone go off, and I turn off the shower. I'm like, there's no way. I look at the phone, and it says California. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, hello? And he's like, in that big booming voice,
Yeah.
hello, is this Chad? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know who this is. So we start talking. We try to set something up. He gave us his home phone number.
That's great.
And we called him, and unfortunately, every time we called him, he was in a meeting, or his wife, you know, picked up the phone, or they just weren't home, and it was just like we couldn't make it happen. But that 5 minutes of just hearing him talk,
Absolutely.
forget it. Nothing else. I may as well have just stayed in 2004 because I peaked right then and there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
He-Man gets me emotional, man, and there's nothing quite like it.
I know.
You
So
know?
that's why to this day you hate He-Man and the Masters.
Of course. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's just like you hate Star Wars in the
know.
80s. You love the 90s.
Oh,
Who needs
this
the
is all
80s?
garbage. What is this?
We're going to take this out back and have a bonfire.
Yeah, we might as well. Kick it around. Light it on fire.
He's going to give me that fright zone that I've been staring at.
Of course.
You guys have that on video.
Yeah. Well, this is a hefty episode. Hefty first episode of A Crept From Eternia. The Masters of the Universe themed Crept from the 80s episode. So thank you, Chad Too Rad, for joining me on this inaugural episode. I'm sure you will be on more He-Man episodes going forward.
Can't wait.
I know my buddy Chris Walk is going to be coming on via satellite because he too is a big Motu fan.
Sure.
Maybe we can get Casey on. Casey is weird about He-Man because he says now he has no connection to it, but Casey is my cousin. So, and he's about 5 years younger than me. I grew up knowing Casey was a giant He-Man. He had so many of the toys. He loved He-Man, but now he's so far away from it. He just doesn't consider himself like a He-Man fan, but he has stuff to talk about. I don't know why.
Oh, I get the sense there's some stories there that
he's recollecting. I'm helping him get these. You know, I'm helping him get the Origins line because he thinks they're awesome. So I think
he's not wrong.
I think I can get Casey back on.
You know,
the He-Man train to talk about He-Man.
Casey is such a smart. Gosh, he's a good-looking guy too. But come on, Casey, just give in. Give in to your Eternian desires.
He will. We'll get him on it.
And
anybody else who wants to talk He-Man with me, get a hold of me. Leave a comment. Tell us your He-Man love, your He-Man memories, and let us know the passion that you have for Masters of the Universe. And until then, we will see you on another exciting and muscle-rippling episode of It Crept From Eternia!